please watch two of the days, so Monday and Wednesday.
Mhm.
So how she said marketing, like when you do your marketing right, you don't have to do a lot of the selling. So,
Mhm.
so for example, if we use Jodie's business, a lot of her marketing happens on her podcast. So she does high quality marketing so that when people decide to work with her, she doesn't have to sell them hard. So
Right.
when the marketing is so good, you don't have to convince people or try to sell them. They are already sold. So that's
Right.
what she means by having great marketing so that you don't have to spend too much time selling.
Right. Right. That makes total sense. And I gave that some thought because what I realized with the pro coaching programs, right, they have nice titles and I could talk about them, but I realized the part that I actually do with them, they don't know what that is. And when I heard myself doing it as I built the actual pieces for her and used it myself, it sold me. It sold me.
Mm,
And so, and I actually coined it. I called it the coach's coaching program, because the coaches themselves will need to know if you're really trying to be a good coach, you need to be able to do something of this format. And so when I wrote it out and then actually put the meat behind it, the steps really are, first of all, is introspection. And people
mm,
don't really take the time to know what that is really because people don't like to look at themselves deeply. So we look at our facial, features and our attire for the day, and we, high five ourselves because we're dressed to the nines of whether it's work, play, or evening, and we leave the house. But we don't take time to look within ourselves because there's so much pain in there. And
mm,
but my coaching program helps and causes people to do introspection. And I call that I help you discover you. That's what I do.
mm,
I help you discover you and know the you that's inside of you. And that's the first step. And then the second step is called awareness. And once you become aware of that, I help you now name your pain, which you have to be able to name that. You have to be able to address what you see and give it a
mm,
name. If it's despair, or if it's a broken heart, or if it's abandonment, or if it's rejection, or if it's where you had domestic violence, or if you had some kind of abuse, molestation, whatever it is, we're going to have to give it a name, and you're going to have to be okay with it. Call it what it is, and that's the awareness piece. But then the most quintessential part is the transition. Because
mm,
once you now know what that is, now we have to transition not just to that, but from that. And so, because when you're transitioning from something, you're transitioning to something. And so, and if you don't know what you're transitioning from, you're going to transition into similar because that's what your mind
mm,
knows. Because your mind has a default for whatever it already knows. And if it doesn't know anything different, it's going to transition to the same thing. It's familiar. So the quintessential part is the transition is to knowing what you're transitioning from and transitioning to, and the process in between the two. That's where the word comes in. Because
yes.
it's not just about the decision, it's about the actual process to get there. Because I give the illustration, because people can turn from something, but if you don't even know where you're actually going, you can keep turning, you're going to end up right back where you started. Because it's a
Mm,
familiar and it's a default of the mind because it's already set. Because there's only 5 to 7 basic emotions that people experience. And with that, then you have where they morph into different actual feelings, right? You have the emotions, and then we feel a certain way. That's why feelings aren't facts. Because I may feel this way about it, and you may feel a different way. It doesn't bother you that way. So feelings aren't facts, but it's how it affected us based on your emotion and based on how it relates to you. And so when you're transitioning from that, you got to be knowing, okay, now where are you actually going? Who are you? Where we're headed?
mm,
Let's look at that and our whole process in between that. And then the step with that is the actual transformation. But the transformation is just the arrival of the new you. So
mm,
now you're discovering that new you and everything you wanted to be and what you hoped to be and what you knew you were and so forth. That's just that arrival. Now, how are you going to live forward? So that's the essentialism that I teach. You know what's essential for your life as you are living forward. And I don't like people talk about that because they just talk about, oh, transformation, transformation. Okay, great. You're a new person. You're going to go right back to the same things if you don't know what is necessary now for you to keep living forward. Because the body, the mind is a default. So there's a lot of pieces in there that have a lot of meat to it. And those are pieces I realized that's what I need to tell them. That's the marketing piece that was, it would sell me, you know? So people don't understand that. Just think about a coaching program. This is what I do. Ultimately, help you, resolve, give you comprehensive solutions for unresolved emotional trauma, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. What does that mean? Let me tell you. Let me tell you the steps that we would walk through. And I believe that is that marketing piece that she was talking about that would be a selling point. All I have to do is tell the
Mm,
story and fit myself in there a couple of times where it was effective for me as well as other people. Like you said, you don't have to use name. Oh, thank you. You don't have to use names, but other where it affected other people. And I can't wait to take young girl through this. And I already sent her the reflection tool that I created to get her started, to get her start thinking, preparing, because we're not just going to jump in here like a slideshow. Oh no, my dear.
mm,
I don't even play games like that. I take this very seriously. I've done it with several people. And but it's so much better now. There's so much more meat because I had so much more time. Before I was doing a 9 to 5 and working with people on a weekend. I'm exhausted. I have to pep it up so I can,
mm,
you know, it's my weekend time. But it was necessary. So now I had so much more time and so many more downloads because I've had a new opportunity to do it with so much more meat and get the 5 concepts that make it so much more valuable so that people have a long life ahead of this regulated now emotion so they can have adult behaviors that are becoming of adults. Because no one
mm,
wakes up, Joy, and decides they're going to have some of these lives that they have. No one wakes up and decides that they're going to have addictive behaviors. They're going to have depression. They're going to have anxiety. No one wakes up and decides I'm going to have that. It happened.
yeah,
Somewhere called a course of life and living. It happened to you. And I look
mm,
for the entrance wound, and then I'm going to help you get an exit wound. We're going to get that out, you know? You can't just live
mm,
with that because it's going to keep showing up. It's going to
mm,
show up every time there's a trigger. And so there's so many pieces to it that I can teach people on, the dominant thought that keeps showing up when you're having the best of your time of your life. Here comes that dominant thought because it's not
mm,
compartmentalized. We haven't learned how to compartmentalize it, so it runs rampant. And then before we know it, we're back, blah, 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 in a corner somewhere because something
mm,
gave a, for instance, gave a reference of something you experienced before. And so it triggered that default emotion and it caused you to go into hiding or caused you to respond to something that's not real. This isn't real. You're responding to something 20 years ago. It's not real.
mm, mm,
People, and when people live like that for so long, you see some of the lifestyles that they, have and some of their thought patterns and some of the dress and some of the way they speak and act and the behaviorism and the mannerism. I'm thinking something happened. I always tell my husband, I said, something happened. He said, what do you mean? He said, stop analyzing people. I said, I can't help it. I can see it. I can see it. I said, something happened. There was a bend in this person's life. And he's like, oh, but then we're watching TV shows. He said, oh, they need Dr. Leah, don't they? I was like, they sure do.
yeah.
So, but that's my love there, Joy. I can do that all day long to a room full of people or one person. Equally, they're just as valuable to me, But this other stuff, whew, I'd rather go see a dentist.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for watching the Next Level Women show. You just heard from Dr. Leah, and her link will be in the show notes below for you to find out more about how she can help you to process the pain, emotional pain, and get to where you want to be, whether in your finances, in your relationships. She can help you, and I am so excited for how she's going to transform your life. Thank you, everyone, for watching.